This is going to be very low editing for you people on the YouTube. Okay, now we're recording. Hello, this is Unexplained America, and I'm your host, Lisa. And with me today on this super fabulous, extra special episode is Amber.
Hello. Hi.
And Amber is original co-host and co-creator of all, how many episodes? 60 episodes?
Yeah, I think I did about 60 total.
You made it to 60.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
So had to have her on for the 100th.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me back.
I do want you to come back. We've talked about how we're going to do, what is it? The Yazoo City Witch?
Yes.
I want to do that in September.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So Amber will be back with the Yazoo City Witch.
Is that when you're taking me to South Fork?
Or
September?
October. No.
I'm trying to get Lisa to take me to South Fork because I've been watching Dallas reruns all summer.
No.
I'm trying to have a field trip to Dallas.
I'm busy. So it's unbelievable that, can you believe it, that we're here at 100 episodes?
I cannot.
Some are fun, some are quirky. Remember the Blue Man Group?
I do. That was number 2.
That was number 2?
Number 2.
So, yes, if you're new to the podcast, it gets a little bit crazy because, 1 through 60 is the two of us. And then, of course, I switched over to Unexplained America in episode 86. So it's been a ride, but now we're at the 100th. So I'm excited. So yay, celebration.
How many months has it? It's been a year and a half almost. A year and 4 months.
What are we talking about?
When we first started.
We did our first episode in December of actually 23.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah. So that's when we originally started, episode 1. So if you haven't listened to all 100, go back and listen.
Yes. You have 100 plus hours to spare.
Yeah.
Great way to spend them.
And then some. Okay, so last week's episode was the Amityville, the DeFeo family murders. And just specifically and pointedly, the DeFeos. That was the focus. Today we're going to pick up in December of 1975, and we're going to discuss the Lutz family and then all the sensationalism that kind of came out of their encounter with 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, New York.
Okay. Sounds good.
Did that sound right?
Yeah, I think you got it all.
Okay. So, and I'll be looking at that. I may have some edits on this end for sure. But anyway, so I'm going to get started. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready whenever
Did you listen to episode 99?
Did I listen to episode 99?
Let's watch her flinch.
No, I have not listened yet. No. But I do. I'm pretty familiar with Amityville. And I was just going to listen to you now and see what you have to tell me that I don't know about Amityville.
You heard it here first. So I won't kill you today. No.
Okay, good. I'm so glad.
I better edit that. Edit of killing you. That is funny. Okay, so we're gonna get started. So December 18th of 1975, George and Kathleen Lutz, they move into their new home at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, okay? Now, George, he is 28 years old. He was born in 1947. And he owns and operates, at this time, it was his family's company. So it started out with his grandfather, then went to his father, but it was the William H. Perry, Inc. And they were a land surveying company. And they were there on Long Island, but in kind of the area of Deer Park, So anyway, so George's grandfather has started the business, and then it went to George's father, and now George is running it. And he is 28 years old. So let all that sink in. I think that gets lost on young people, but for me now in my 40s, I'm that's young. It's really young. And when you kind of hear, and when you hear what all he's into, with the whole, anyway, just the whole situation, it's very young. So he's running the company, and he lives and operates, again, out of Deer Park. It is on Long Island. It is in New York. He's a New Yorker. Now, Deer Park is about 8 miles to the northeast on the island of Amityville. So it's not super far away, but yeah, it's just in a different area. Now, George, in his he's not lived very long, but he's already like an ex-Marine. He allegedly had his black belt in jiu-jitsu. He rode motorcycles. So
just like in the movie.
Yes, just like in the movie. You're cracking me up. Okay, so he meets Kathleen Connors. So that was like her maiden name, and she's gonna go by Kathy. Kathy was 30. So she's a couple years older than him. She was born in 1946. So Kathy already had 3 children. So it was Daniel, who went by Danny. He was born in 65. Christopher, of course, went by Chris, 68. And then she had a daughter, Melissa, who went by Missy, and she was born in 70. So she had 3 kids, okay? And they were like, at the time of this all happening, they were 10, 8, and 5. And Kathy had been married to a man named Sebastian. Isn't that a great name?
Yeah.
That reminds me of the Never-Ending Story, right?
Well, I think it was just Bastion.
Was it just Bastion?
Yeah, I think it was. Which is...
I feel like it should have been, or was. His legal name was Sebastian.
Probably.
But the last name was, I hope I say this right, Quarantino. It looks like I'm saying like Quarantino, but it's Quarantino.
Tarantino.
No, but Quarantino. So they had divorced after Missy was born, and then she met George, who did become, so kind of the agreement was when George was going to marry Kathy, he wanted the kids to get his name. So like they kind of dated, lived together for a few years, and then they had actually just gotten married in July of 75, okay? And he changed the kids' names. So the kids are Lutz. They are now a family of Lutz. That always kind of, I don't know, interested me. I thought that was nice. Like he just wanted them to be all together and family or whatever. And I think Sebastian had moved off. So actually George had the arrangement with Sebastian, okay? Like they all agreed on this. Now, the family had looked at 50 homes. So they were looking to move. They got married. They were looking to move. Now I'm sure George's house that he had was not very big. And so now they have this family of 5 going on, all these kids. And so they were looking at...
I know how that is.
You know how that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were looking at like 50 homes all on Long Island, and their budget was between $30,000 and $50,000, okay? And I had already talked about this in the other episode. You didn't listen to it, but kind of the median price at that point. Now, this would have been in 65, so this was kind of low, I would say, for that time range, and we'll talk about that. But in Amityville, like the DeFeos had purchased Ocean Avenue in 65 for $30,000, but that was like 10 years ago.
So question. So
okay.
If the DeFeos, they died in 74, so this was around a year later.
This was a year later, and this happened, so in December, okay, so another thing is, Ronnie DeFeo, the murderer, he was actually convicted in November of 75, so right before they're purchasing this house.
So my first question, probably my biggest question is, would you purchase a home that you knew someone had A, died in, or B, died violently in? I don't know. So for me personally, I would have a tough time with it. I know it happens all the time, and we'll talk about their experience, and what they feel about it, because they do discuss that. So, okay, so they're looking, their budget is remember their budget is $30,000 to $50,000, okay? But they really wanted a house. They had kind of contingencies. Like George wanted a house on the water because he had boats. Like he had 2 boats, okay? Now, he also wanted a house big enough, but he wanted on the water. He wanted a house big enough. Well, they were connected with a broker named Edith Evans, and she worked for the Conklin Realty Group, and she was out of Massapequa Park, Long Island.
And I say that, do you know, incidentally, Amber,
Mm-hmm.
does Massapequa sound familiar?
Sounds very Kennedy-esque.
Well, it should sound murder-esque
Oh.
because the Long Island serial killer,
Oh, that's where I've heard it.
Rex
Okay.
Howerman, his home was in Massapequa Park.
That's where I've heard it, because I did
I say
watch
suspected murderer.
I did watch the first episode of what was it, the Peacock thing?
The Peacock?
Yeah.
Of the
Maybe it
The
was,
Long Island serial killer.
No, I watched the first two, because I watched the wife too.
Did you watch the Gilgo Beach stuff?
The what?
The Gilgo Beach.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah, so that's why that sounds familiar, because he lived in Massapequa, and of course, all of this, the Gilgo Beach is out there on Long Island. So Long Island's huge, and I did cover that in an episode for Patreons. Yeah, go join the Patreon. So Edith tells the Lutz, she tells George and Kathy, she's like, hey, I have a home to show you, but it is out of your price range. But basically, I'm going to show you how the other half lives, is what she says to them. Like, how nice that is, Paris. Paris is in the room. So, and not sure, like, and she told them, she's like, I'm not sure what you're looking for, but this house is nice. So the house description at that time was listed as 6 bedrooms, 3.25 baths. It had 3 stories with a finished basement. It had a heated pool, 2-car garage, and a boathouse, all for $80,000. But it is $80,000. That's quite a bit higher than what they were looking at. Yeah.
So in today's numbers, what would they have been searching for?
Today's numbers probably would be like the 80,000. And this house, okay, so this house at that time in Amityville, because Amityville was considered like a nice or very nice section of Long Island. Okay, mm-hmm. So probably at this time, that same house would be like at this time, this house, and I went over that. It's listed. The Zestimate on Zillow was like 1.1 million. Okay, so to buy that house,
out of their price range.
It was out of their price range for sure. But even in the monies back then, yes. I mean, because if they're looking to 30-50, I mean that's almost double their budget.
Yeah.
So very, very going beyond what the scope of what they were thinking. But and the house had been on the market for a year. You know, they're told that. So once the Lutz view the entire home, Edith tells them about the DeFeos. She's like, by the way,
yeah,
this is the DeFeo home, and everyone in the state. I mean, this was huge. The DeFeo, even before Amityville Horror, before the Lutz came into the picture, this was huge story. It was national news, and so if everyone in New York knew the DeFeo home, knew what happened, like knew a little bit. They knew that the family was murdered. That's probably all they knew, and we'll kind of get into that. But anyway. So, yes, they knew. The Lutz had heard about it. All Kathy said and thought was she loved the house. Like, she fell in love with the house. It was the best that they had seen. I mean, heated pool on the water, a boathouse. Mm-hmm. I mean,
yeah,
all this space. And the house was beautiful. Like, the house is beautiful. And we'll kind of talk about the differences between reality and the movie, mm-hmm. But the house was absolutely beautiful. The DeFeos had a beautiful home. Like, the house was in good repair. Now, of course, it did sit empty for a year, and yes, there was a bloody mess in it, and then all that fingerprint stuff, but you know, that got cleaned. Anywho, moving forward. So the Lutz talk, you know, this house is very much out of the price range, but George vows to do everything he could to purchase the home. Like, he didn't care about the tragic history of the home. Like, he didn't care about that. That didn't bother him for a minute. He just thought, you know, it's a house. It doesn't hold the memories. Like, they weren't superstitious about the home. They weren't concerned about the home at all. They just wanted the house. They just loved it, and they were like, this place is awesome. So now this home was a lot more space than what they had, okay? We're talking, it was 3,600 square feet, not including a finished basement, okay? Or a semi-finished basement down there. So they needed furniture, so they pay an extra $400 to keep the DeFeo's dining room set. They keep the DeFeo's master bedroom furniture.
No.
Yes, they do.
No. They
keep Allison's furniture, which was, you know, going to be used for Missy. Kathy's daughter, Missy, who is 5. And Allison was the one on the second floor, you know, and of course everyone was brutally murdered, but Allison was shot in her head, in her bed. Now, they get this furniture. They also get like a chair for the TV room. So they're keeping, not only are they purchasing this house, but they're keeping items from the DeFeos, okay?
So they're not superstitious.
They are not superstitious at all. They're like, this stuff is awesome and we can use it.
Yeah.
They do have, it says also that they get 7 air conditioners, because this is kind of before central heat and air. You know, they have like a boiler heating system that comes from the basement, and then they have like air conditioning units, like window units. Okay.
Yeah.
So they get the window units in the deal. They get 2 washers and 2 dryers. They're a big family, and they're, you know, they were excited about that. They get a new refrigerator. Yeah, like, I mean, with a family, because the DeFeo's family was even bigger. So they, you know, they had 2 washers and 2 dryers. They get a new fridge and a freezer. So the Lutz agree to purchase 112 Ocean Avenue, and the price is the $80,000, but they're getting these items, and then they did pay $400 for some furniture. So that's where we're at, okay? Now, a little side note. So even though Ronnie DeFeo was convicted, like he's already been convicted, you know, he had been convicted the month before.
But he pled insanity, right? Did he plead insanity before?
He pled insanity. He was innocent by reason of insanity, but he was found guilty.
Right.
Yeah, he is actually sentenced and guilty. So he's in prison for, I think the term was like 25 years to life.
Right.
Okay. So he is convicted, but he is still the heir to the estate.
Isn't it funny how that works?
Yes. So the whole title thing, like the bank that kind of was, you know, it had a title company involved in the bank. Long story short, it was very complicated legally wise, because the house was kind of tied up in probate. I mean, the actual owners of the house, the legal owners of the house, the DeFeo, well, they're dead. So this makes it very complicated. And so basically they told him, okay, we're going to make sure that you get clear title, and all you're going to pay right now is $40,000. We're going to hold it in escrow for us to just get you in this house. Okay. So at this point, I don't even think title changed hands.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. From the DeFeos. So it's because it's complicated. It's in a probate situation, and it's more than complicated, because then you have the situation with the heir being tied up in the prison system.
So, and they didn't see any of this as red flags?
No. They want this house, girl. They've got a heated, like, in-ground pool coming their way.
You know, I like a bargain more than most people.
But
I don't think I would, number one, live in a house where someone had tragically died, and number 2, I don't think I would use their furnishings, especially the bedroom furnishings.
Where they were, like, murdered.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I can't even imagine.
That would be a tough sell for me. But I know a lot of people that have lived in and have bought houses with some tragedy in them. So weigh in, people. We ask you.
My grandparents both passed away, but
not tragically.
Yeah, peacefully in you know, our family home, and that, I think that's different than something that is a violent passing. I don't think I could handle living somewhere like that.
Any passing would have to be disclosed legally. Anywho. So, true story. Now, again, complications here, but they go ahead and close. Now, George does own a house in Deer Park. So they close on that first, because that's all contingent on this, okay? So he sells his house. They sign to purchase the Ocean Avenue. Now, part of how George was kind of manipulating this in his mind to afford it was he paid, like, boat dues. Like, he was storing his boat, like he paid marina dues. So he was like, Kathy, I don't have to pay for, you know, a marina anymore, because now we have this house with a boathouse, so I can move my boats. That's one thing. Another thing is he was paying rent for his works office. So he decided that he was going to move his company, like the office, to Ocean Avenue. So that's, in his mind, that's how he's going to be able to afford this situation. So there we go. He's juggling in his mind. Now, according to the book, because really that's literally all we have, of the Lutz arrangement of what happens other than their own interviews, which just backs up the book. But according to the book by Jay Anson, so on the day of the Lutz closing and moving in, so the very first day, they stay, in the book it says a Father Mancuso, so a priest. Now, they changed some names in the book, by the way. Now, the real father's name was Ray Picaro. I think it's Picarero.
Pick a what?
Picarero. I may be saying that wrong. I'm going to call him Ray. So, Father Ray, okay, in real life. Now, he arrives at the house around 1:30 to bless the home. Now, Father has already worked with the Lutz. He's not only a priest, but he actually does like family counseling. So whenever they, George and Kathy first got, and Kathy was Catholic, George was Methodist, but they went ahead and got counseling and all of this stuff because, of course, again, George was going to kind of adopt the children, okay? So Father Ray knew the Lutz already, and they had asked him to come bless the house, which was not an abnormal thing, but in this situation, probably like more of a heightened, like, hey, can you come bless this house? I don't even think they said anything to the father about whose house it was or what house they were purchasing, but it was kind of like, just come bless this house. And that was kind of a normal thing at that time, okay? So he comes out, he comes into the Lutz home, and he hears, so he's going around the house, and he states that he hears a very clear masculine voice scream, "Get out."
Nice.
Get out, like very clearly. And the voice came, he said, from behind him in one of the rooms, but the father was alone, like he was walking through the house alone. He did not say anything to the Lutz about this. Like he just kind of, okay, this happened, kind of shook him up, moving on, okay? Now the father went into, he leaves there, he's not feeling good. He goes to his mom's house after leaving the Lutz. And his mom, kind of upon seeing him, tells him to go look at himself. She's like, you don't look good. And he looks at him. I mean, he's got circles under his eyes, marks on his face, the whole bit. Now, that night, he's just feeling sick. He continues to feel sick. Now, another thing is, in the movie, it does show a scene where flies happen.
Yeah. Now,
just FYI, that was the movie. Now, after leaving his mother's house, he does get on the Van Wyck Expressway, which if you're a New Yorker, if you like the Seinfeld episodes, you'll know what that is. Because Kramer mentions it a lot, the Van Wyck Expressway. Now, all of a sudden, he is on the expressway, and he feels his car is being forced to the right shoulder. And there's no other cars around him. He can't explain it. He's able to get his car back on the highway, get it back on the highway. And then he says his hood flies open and it crashes into his windshield, and then his right passenger door flies off.
So that was in the movie.
This is in the book.
Mm-hmm. But it was in the movie too, but there was
We'll talk about that.
Oh, okay.
Because there is a difference.
Okay. Well, there were two in the car in the movie.
He was he was on his own. So he is panicked. He brakes and the car kind of stalls, so it just stops. So his car is totally done. He's done. Just all of a sudden it's done. So he gets to a payphone. He gets another priest to come get him. Okay. And they get his car towed. So this was in the book. And this is according to true stories. Okay. Now the priest, he goes back to the rectory. There's another priest that same priest that helped him. He calls Ray and tells him that, sorry, this is going to be an edit. Let me look at it. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Sorry. So that father that helped him, he calls Ray and tells him, you're not going to believe this. As soon as I left you, this other dude's, windshield wipers came on and they went, going crazy, no explanation. And he couldn't turn them off. And he thought, what in the world is going on? how in the hell is this happening? That's what this other priest tells him. And so at this point, Father Ray is like, this is weird. But he's not thinking anything else, okay? Nothing else. Now, at the Lutz, their first night was pretty low-key. So they do have a dog, Harry, and Harry is kind of chained up in the yard, and he does get tangled up, and George has to, like, go get him untangled or something weird with him, and then it gets really cold. So it is December, Long Island. The degrees outside is 6 that night. Gosh, 6 degrees.
That
so
sounds miserable.
It does sound miserable. And evidently this dog was used to like outside weather. Like it was kind of an outside inside dog, but still 6 degrees and your dog's outside. So George does, feel very cold. He starts a fire in the living room fireplace. No big deal. And this is on the 18th. So the morning of the 19th at 3:15, George awakens suddenly. He hears knocking, and he just assumes it's at the front door. He gets up to check on it, and there's nothing there, but he's continuously hearing knocking, and then he's going around, he's looking for where the sound is coming from. And then he hears thuds, cracks above him. Now, Chris and Danny are on the 3rd floor, okay? They're on the 3rd floor. He just thinks that they're making noise, something fell on the floor or something. And he does go out to check on the dog, okay? And the dog is barking outside. So George goes out to the boathouse and he sees movement, and then he sees Harry chasing something. So he's just like throwing on pants. He is, Kathy's awake. He's telling her that Harry's the dog, that he's chasing a cat or something. So he runs out to the boathouse finally and sees that the boathouse door is like completely open. It had been shut. It's completely open. It's flapping and banging. So that was like the flapping and banging. He fixes it and then he heads back up to bed. So fairly low key, okay? Now they only live in this house for 28 days. And they would start to experience all kinds of things, but he would be awakened at 3:15 almost every single morning. Now, and 3:15 is significant because that's the time frame of when they believe that DeFeo killed his family.
Yeah.
Now, it's also like the witching hour.
It is. Most people think it's midnight, but it's actually 3 a.m.
3. So the Lutz are experiencing everything. So right away, the parents are kind of on edge. The kids are fighting. The parents are snapping. The kids are normally extremely well behaved, it's said, but they're kind of just being annoying. The parents are getting annoyed. They're getting annoyed with each other. George, who is normally very well groomed, like, he's very big on showering and shaving and all the things, he quits doing that. And Kathy's like, okay, this is new. So just some changes are happening like very early in this whole experience. Now, George, like I said, he is awoken almost every single morning at 3:15.
That's awful.
The next day, same kind of banging and pounding, waking George up, and he thinks, of course, it's going to be the boathouse door again. And this would be a continuous thing as well with George. Like, he would be continuously concerned with the boathouse door, checking on the boathouse. This was just something Kathy was noticing. Like, he was obsessed with the boathouse, okay? Now, on the 22nd, while Kathy was sitting in the dining room, and she's writing up kind of like a list to do for Christmas. Like, Christmas is coming. They've just moved in. She's overwhelmed. She's writing out a list of things that she needs to do. So she's just sitting at the dining room table, and she feels someone come up behind her and embrace her.
Ew.
And of course, and then there's no one there. And then she feels a pat on her hand. And again, no one's there. When she first felt the embrace, she just thought it was maybe one of the kids, coming up from behind her.
Right.
And then, of course, no one's there. Now,
that's creepy.
Both the embrace and the pat, she said, startled her, but it did not scare her. Like, it felt very reassuring. And she said it felt like a woman's touch. Like, it felt female. Like, it felt gentle. Now, this same day, she hears Chris yelling, "Mom," from the 3rd floor, as you can imagine. She's got 3 kids in this house. She runs up, and all 3 kids are in the bathroom and telling her they're pointing at the toilet, pointing inside the toilet. Inside the toilet is black. Like, it's just black on the inside of the toilet. She thinks that maybe they've dumped something in there, that they've painted it. She's like, what did you do? Like, why is it black? And then there's a stench, like kind of like a bad stench. And it's all over like the 3rd floor, and now it's in the 2nd floor. She's going around and checking the other toilets. The other toilets are black as well. Now, some of them are not as black, and she does begin to clean them, and she continuously cleans them. And eventually they do start to get better, by the way. But she smells like when she goes into her own bathroom, she smells a cheap, sweet perfume smell. But then she also smells the stench. And the stench is like death. And I will say the smells are continuous for them as well. Like the whole time they're going through stenches or the sweet perfume smells, just kind of the whole time that they live in the house. Now that same day, this is a big day for them. George is kind of running in, like he's running around. He's trying to unpack is what he's doing. But he goes into the sewing room on the 2nd floor, and he finds, because they do call him about the toilet situation, by the way. Now, the window on the 2nd floor, the sewing room, it faces the neighbor's home to the right of the family, okay? And he finds this window covered in hundreds of flies, and he is stunned. It is winter, like I said, it was 6 degrees, like one of those nights was 6 degrees. During the day, it was maybe getting into the 20s. Now, it is cold, and he's like, what is going on? He cannot figure out where the flies are getting in. Like, he's going around the room kind of looking for maybe where they were hidden, like maybe they came out in the warmth or they were hiding in the wall, but he's like, flies don't live very long. I mean, so he just can't explain this. And finally he gets like the flies out, like he's shooing them out the window. He's killing the ones that were remaining. He gets like a newspaper and he's like, you know, just shooing the flies away and then beating them. So he kills the flies. The flies are now gone, but he was the one that had the fly incident, by the way. Now at 3:15, just like on the other nights, so he's awoken again. So that was the 22nd. Now it'd be the 23rd. He goes downstairs. He finds that their front door, it is very heavy. It's like a 200-pound door. It is solid wood. He finds that it has been like basically wrenched off the hinges, this door, from the inside, not the outside. So he is like, what in the world? Why would we not hear this? So he finds this. He's kind of wrestling around with the door. Kathy wakes up. She's like, what is going on? He's like, I have no idea how this would happen. But he's pointing at like the brass plate on the door, and he's like, this appears someone pried the door from the inside. The inside, not outside. Crazy. So someone, he's thinking that someone broke into their house and was inside and then broke out is what he's thinking. So so they run around checking on the children. They're like the kids, you know. So they run up. Kathy notices that all 3 kids are asleep, and she notes this in the book. She notes that all 3 kids are on their stomachs, and she thinks that was strange, and she hadn't noticed them sleeping in that position before. Now, I'll just tell you this. I don't know a lot of children. I only had one myself, but she was a stomach sleeper. Like my kid to this day sleeps on her stomach. To me, that's not abnormal. I don't know, but and I will say that, you know, there was a lot said about the family being found on their stomachs, but that wasn't quite the case. Anyway, there was movement to be had. Does that make sense? So people that listened to the last episode, you know. So I don't know. How do your kids sleep?
I mean, they do sleep on their stomach. They sleep on their back. I mean, I don't know.
Kind of flip-flop?
They flip-flop like I do, yeah.
I'm a side sleeper myself. I don't sleep on my stomach, but my like Elle, as soon as she could roll over as a baby, she slept on her stomach.
Yeah.
So, and still sleeps on her stomach. So, I don't know. To me, that's not very weird at all, but she makes that notation, but I think it has more to do with the DeFeos and what she thought she knew about it. So, on the 23rd, they have a locksmith come out to fix the door. Now, the locksmith, I'm putting this in here because it's interesting. He is a local, And he mentions that he had actually been called out by the DeFeos to fix the door lock on the boathouse. Like, he had never fixed this situation, but he does mention that. So evidently, he had gone in the boathouse. He said that there were, people were experiencing getting locked inside the boathouse. That's what this locksmith is telling George, okay? Now, on the 23rd, a few more weird things happen. Like, Missy, she is just kind of sitting, like, Kathy finds her sitting in her room. She's sitting in her rocking chair, and she is just, like, staring out the window. She's 5, and she's just staring, and she's humming a strange song.
That's creepy.
Yeah, and Kathy asks, and she does ask Kathy if angels could talk. Like, she's like, can angels talk? And before Kathy can even answer her or like, address this, the boys interrupt, and they're like, they are having a fight, like a knockdown, drag out fight between the boys. And Kathy in the book says that she's got to go break it up, that the boys had never fought like this before in their life.
So everybody was just overly emotional in the house.
That's what they're trying to portray. And I will say, in later interviews, I don't think that was quite the case, but that for the book's purpose, they were saying the boys had never fought, and all of a sudden they're fighting. You have boys.
I have boys, and I've never met, brothers that didn't fight, so.
Yeah, and these boys are 10 and 8,
yeah,
and they're sharing a room.
Yeah.
I would say that they've fought before.
Yeah.
But in the book, let's just say the book's totally true, that they had never fought before. So she breaks up the fight, and then she goes down, like, she's going through all the closets, putting up shelving paper. And so she has a crucifix, okay, that they had been given a while back. And she had hung it in her closet. And she comes to find it in her closet, and it's upside down now when she comes back. Creepy. And she says there's a sour odor like before. Yeah. So there's the stench, and then the crucifix is upside down in her closet. So this is according to Kathy on the 23rd. Now, again, in the book, it goes back and forth about the father numerous times. Jay Anson does state that he interviewed the father. Evidently, the father, once he's gone to the Lutz, he is sick. He has the flu. Then he gets these blisters on his hand. Like, all this weird stuff is happening to the father. And as soon as he thinks about the Lutz or talks about the Lutz to other people, it's worse. When he doesn't, it's fine. So he is experiencing this the entire 28 days, okay? Now, on Christmas Eve, Kathy's mom and brother, they come to the house. Her brother's Jimmy. His last name is Connors. He loves George. Like, George was actually going to be the best man at Jimmy's wedding. And Jimmy was getting married, like, literally, this was Christmas Day. I think he was getting married, like, the 26th or 27th. So he was about to get married. Now, they come over, and Jimmy actually brought, like, a Christmas tree as, like, a housewarming gift. And then he also brings money. I think that was the day that he brings money over. He brings $1,500 that he is supposed to give to the caterer. Yeah. Yes. Well, he loses it at the house. But so this, in the movie, it's done a little bit differently, but he loses it. So, and they can't figure that out. They're looking for it, okay? They're like, oh, well, we'll look for it. It's a couple days before the wedding. We'll just look for it. Now, they do, like, Kathy's mom and Jimmy find George at the house, and they're like, you don't look the same. Like, they are surprised by his appearance because he hasn't shaved or showered, and he just didn't look himself. Like, George did not look himself. The house is very drafty and cold, and they hang out, but they're uncomfortable, okay? So Jimmy's in the house. He's working on decorating the Christmas tree with the kids. George runs upstairs. Then he comes down and asks Kathy if she had opened a window in the sewing room, because he finds the window just open. And of course it's cold, and he is running around cold, and he's always lighting the fire. That's in the movie too, and this is in the book. And she's like, no, I didn't open, the window. What are you talking about? And he says the flies are back. So the flies are back. They all deal with the fly situation, and then they all hear a huge loud bang from outside the home, and then Harry's barking. So George tells Jimmy to stay with the family so he can go check out what's happened, and George is like, I just knew it was the boathouse again. So he runs out there to check it. Sure enough, it's the boathouse. Like, the door was completely opened all over again. So now, fast forward 3:15 on Christmas Day. This is the 7th day in a row for George to be woken up. He wakes up, he looks at Kathy. She is asleep on her stomach. She then awakens and yells, like screams, "She was shot in the head. She was shot in the head." Like she says it. And then she says, "I heard the explosion in my head." And he's just like, so she's all of a sudden awake, yelling this. He consoles her and kind of rocks her back to sleep. And she just falls back asleep. And then he feels his yearning to go check on the boathouse. Okay, now in real life, so I do believe Kathy thought that Louise DeFeo was shot in the head. I think that a lot of people did not know the specifics of how the DeFeos died.
And it was just a little girl that was shot in the head.
Both girls were shot in the head.
Yes.
Louise was not shot in the head. She was shot twice, but she was not shot in the head. So I believe that that was just something that she thought, because people did not have the true story. So it was probably like the telephone game. Like they knew someone was shot in the head. So, but that's what she says. So he goes out, he's checking on the boathouse again. And while out there, he turns back to look at the house, okay? And he sees like Missy standing in her window. It looks like Missy standing in her window. And when he's looking, it looks like a pig face behind her with red glowing eyes.
Oh, that's so creepy.
That is a pig?
Yeah.
Red glowing eye. Like,
creepy.
I'll tell you, I'm sorry, but at 3:15 in the morning, if you're outside checking on the boathouse and you look back at the house and you see the kids standing in the window, that alone is creepy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that would freak me out.
But much less a pig face behind her.
Yeah.
Now he's like scared, obviously. He runs in the house straight upstairs to Missy's room to check on her, and she is asleep on her stomach, and her room is empty. He finds no pig face in there. But he does find her rocking chair is going back and forth on its own.
Ooh, that's so
That
creepy.
is creepy.
Yeah.
Dolls, children in windows.
Dolls, creepy kids, rocking chairs, all the things, yes.
It's really creepy. So later the morning, okay, so this is 3:15. Later on, Kathy and George get together and just discuss the weird events, because both of them at this point are experiencing things individually, and they're not
communicating about it.
No, they're not being like, I think they're just trying to, I can see this like just trying to brush it under the rug, like.
Yeah, well, if I had gotten the house twice what my maximum price range was, I'd be sweeping it under the rug too, going, okay, it's fine.
It's beautiful. This house is wonderful. Yeah. Yes. So they hadn't at this point. So yeah, so they're discussing it, and they do discuss that they're going to call the father. And then there is a weird, like every single time, and this goes back and forth in the book, they try to call the father, and then when they start to talk to him, he can't hear them. There's always this crackling on the line, and then they lose each other. So that's in the book and in the movie, just FYI. Now, Father Ray, in the meantime, he is still sick. He is running high temperatures. He's got like flu-like symptoms, and he can't get the Lutz out of his head. Like, he's worried about the Lutz. Like, he just can't get the house out of his head, and it doesn't make sense how sick he is. So this is going on kind of in the background. Now, George and Kathy they like warn the kids. They're like, stay out of the sewing room. Like, but that also is making them like, what do kids want to do when you tell them not to?
Go straight into the sewing room.
Yes. So the kids are discussing with each other, like, they're telling us to stay out of the sewing room, but maybe there are like Christmas gifts in there, because they had already kind of, this was after Christmas. They're like, are there more gifts in there? Like, what's going on? Like, and then Missy tells the boys that Jody's in the sewing room.
Oh, no.
And they're like, who is Jody? And Missy's like, that's my friend. It's a pig. And they're just making fun of her. Like, they're making fun of Missy. They're like, a pig is your friend in the sewing room? Sure, Missy. She's 5. Like, they're just making fun of her. Now, later that night, because this was Christmas Day, it starts to snow, and it's probably beautiful.
Yeah, it probably is.
So Kathy goes up to get Missy and get her ready for bed. And outside the door, she can kind of hear Missy talking to someone. This is so creepy. And Kathy just figures it's one of the boys. But when she goes in, Missy is alone. And she asked Missy, who are you talking to? Are you talking to that angel? Because she's just thinking, Missy had asked her about an angel.
Yeah.
And Missy said, no, Mama, it's just Jody.
And kids have invisible friends. I mean, that's normal.
Yeah. And Kathy asked who Jody is. And Missy said, asked who Jody was. And Missy said, Jody is a pig and my friend, and no one can see him but me. So Jody's a him.
Oh, okay.
Not a her.
Okay.
And it's a him pig.
It's a pig.
It's a pig.
With red eyes. Interesting.
This is so gross. But anyway, so on the 26th, George wakes up, again goes to the boathouse at 3:15, and then he's struck with terrible stomach pains. Like, he is running to the bathroom. He's going to be in and out of the bathroom all day, okay? No more talk about that. This day was also the day of Jimmy's big wedding, okay? So Jimmy's getting married. Kathy had tons to do. She's in the kitchen. And while she's in the kitchen, kind of doing stuff in there, she gets a sudden, overwhelming, feeling of someone else and someone close by. And she smells that sweet perfume again. And she feels that someone embrace her waist. Now, this time she's scared. By now, she's scared. That first one was Now she's scared because there's been a lot more happening in the house.
Right.
And she cries out. She's like, leave me alone. She cries out to it. Leave me alone. And then she feels pressure, warm pressure on her shoulder. But it's almost like it was trying to comfort her, and then it's gone. And Kathy's just overwhelmed. She's done. I mean, her husband's not showering. Now he's got the stomach, bug, and the kids, everything's not been great.
Yeah.
Everything's falling apart. Jimmy's getting married. She's got tons to do, and now she feels a ghost on her
and no one can find that money either.
Yeah. And they never found that money. So she's overwhelmed. She just sits down and cries, and then Missy comes in and scares her. And Missy tells her, and this is real fun. So Missy looks at her and goes, Mommy, don't cry. Jody said don't cry. Everything will be better soon.
Oh,
ugh.
Wow.
Jody can leave.
Yeah, definitely.
If Elle had come to me as a 5-year-old and told me Jody, the pig, says everything is fine, I'd be like, we gotta move.
Yeah.
Now, at the wedding, actually, everything goes well. George actually fixed himself up, got himself there. He still is dealing with his stomach issues, like nausea and stuff, all through the wedding. But he gets there, and at the wedding, he actually, Jimmy and his wife, Carrie, are going to fly out for their honeymoon. They're going straight to the airport, LaGuardia, okay? And they're flying to Bermuda or whatever. So they're stressed. Now, they do get, it's a wedding. People are giving them money. So they get about $500 in cash. And so they give that to the caterer, and then George covers the rest, which was $1,000. George is stressed, and there's already, in the book and the movie, he's having issues. The IRS is wanting to talk to him about his business. He's actually not going into the office. From the 18th on, he's really not working. He is just focused on the house.
Was he having problems before?
So that is a good question. A little tidbit later on I'll tell you about, but I have a feeling he was having issues before, but it does say he was extremely hardworking before. And once he buys the house, he just quit. I mean, it's like him and Kathy both become very unproductive. The house just kind of sucks all the energy out of them. But he's also sick, and he is running around the house, flies. He's dealing with pigs and flies. So the wedding happens. They don't actually get home from the wedding until about 3. Okay. So they do go to bed. Nothing happens. Now that next day on the 27th, so Kathy has an Aunt Teresa. Okay. She had originally been a nun, but she had left the order many years ago and had a family of her own. And we'll talk about this. But she comes to visit. She had planned to stay for dinner. But upon taking a tour of the house, she refuses to go any further. And she tells Kathy she's leaving. She is visibly uncomfortable in the home. And she's like, I'm out of here. So she leaves. Now there's a little boy that comes over to play. His name is Bobby. Now he refuses to go in any other part of the house other than the foyer. So the boys literally play with Bobby in the foyer. And Kathy just notes Bobby was very uncomfortable. Nobody wants to come in this house. Yeah. But again,
so why didn't they feel it when they came in?
Exactly.
Huh. Interesting.
We'll get into that. But so Kathy and George, they decide to work in the basement. Now there is a little closet off the basement, and Kathy was going to make it into extra pantry space. Everybody needs extra pantry space. Now she does find a hidden door off this closet, and it's like a tiny little room that's under the stairs. And it does have some paint on it. It is some red paint. We'll talk about that. But this will become the big red room, okay?
Oh.
But it is just simply like a small little concrete, like room, and it has some red paint on it. And she's wondering, okay, in her head, okay, well, if I found this room, are there other hidden rooms in the house? So she's just kind of thinking on that. Now the 28th, Father Ray, he's finally feeling better. Finally. And he goes ahead and meets with like a police officer that he knew from Amityville. And he wants and this is all, I don't think anything could collaborate this, but he just tells him what's going on, and he wants like the family checked on. Like he just wants the family to be checked on. Now the Lutz don't experience anything too weird on the 28th, but Kathy does have a situation in the living room where a lion statue she had purchased for George appears to be moving on its own. So she's in the living room, and it's like this statue is moving.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
That's creepy.
Yeah. So even when she leaves the room, like she comes back to the room, and the lion statue has moved so much that she trips over it.
Oh my gosh.
And she actually hurts herself. And
it sounds like what happened to me this week.
No, it was George. He actually trips over it
Oh.
because he went back into that room, and he's like, what is up with this statue? Yeah, you're all gimpy.
Yeah.
On Monday, the 29th, so they moved in the 18th, now it's the 29th, George is still, he hasn't been going to work. He hasn't done anything as far as moving his office to his home. He really hasn't done much, but it's Christmas time and they just moved in. So I don't think that that's too weird.
No, I don't either.
But it does say that he decides to take a trip. He wants to find out more about the house. So he goes to the library, the Amityville library, and then the local newspaper to look at some things. And then it says that he goes to the historical society. Now there it said that he learns that the area was allegedly had a native tribe called the Shinnecock tribe, and that had lived, but it is said that they did inhabit that area, and it was said also that they would not inhabit the area of Amityville because it was quote unquote infested with demons.
Oh, wow.
Now it does say that this tribe was pushed more to the east of the islands in the 1600s. And then allegedly John Kitchum from Salem, the Salem witch trials, he is allegedly relocated to Amityville and kind of lives very close to Ocean Avenue in that time period. And he is continuing in devil worshiping. So George is just finding this out.
And this is all,
is
all true? This all was in the records.
This was supposedly told to George from the Historical Society.
And they corroborate that?
Now, nothing is corroborated. I will say that. Now, and it does say past landowner records note Mr. Monahan had built the home in 1928, and then the house passed hands until some Riley people sold it to the DeFeos in 65. Mm-hmm. So he was just going through some records. I will say nothing says that Shinnecock tribe actually didn't like that. I mean, there was nothing documented about any of this. But this was word of mouth from the Historical Society, allegedly. I mean, it sounds like a fabulous story. Interesting story. And they do talk about this story. This story goes on to be talked about in the movie in a weird way because they introduce a couple in the movie that weren't really relevant. So anyway, so George does experience two weird things that kind of in that time frame. He was driving his newish Ford van. It was a 1974 Ford van. And the bolts on his tires were loose. And then there was also a shock absorber came loose on it. So he was experiencing car trouble. And this was a very new van. So he was like, what is this about? Okay. Now, George and Kathy